Let's talk about depression.
Depression
Yes.
in a relationship.
Yeah.
Ooh. Depression in a relationship. Ay, ay, ay. It's a
When your partner is.
Again, that's super difficult. When your partner's depressed, how do you help them? That's really really hard. I have to go back to the times that I worked in the rehab, and I worked with mental health, and that's basically kind of like what depression it is. It's a mental health issue, and the way that we would help people through that situation would be specifically allowing them to vent things out that they needed to, talk about things that they needed to, if they needed to, slowly implement them back into life. Because usually when you're depressed, you're in a position where you just don't want to do anything. You're kind of like just in bed. There is a set amount of time that people can be depressed. Like if there's a loss in the family, or something dramatic happens, something like that, or just in general something comes up and they become depressed. There is a certain amount of time where you allow that person to stay in bed, but then there comes this new time that they need to stop being in bed, because people that are depressed, I've been depressed in my life, I have a tendency to stay in bed even after I was supposed to get out. And I would stay there for way, 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 way too long. Probably the most effective thing to help a partner or help somebody through being depressed, and legitimately yourself, if you're depressed, the best thing that I've ever noticed that helped me through it was implementing one new thing every day. So basically what happens is when your partner's depressed, any task, any new thing that they're going to do, or anything that they used to be doing that was part of their routine that they don't do now, seems worthless to do because they're already not doing 50 other things that they were doing before. So they're like, why would I just do this one thing because it doesn't even mean anything? And the reality is that to get out of depression, and what holds you in depression and what holds your partner in depression, is the fact that what they're trying to come out of seems insurmountable. And trying to kind of, change their thought process into, this isn't insurmountable, it's just one thing at a time. That's all. It's one step at a time, and then all of a sudden you're at the top. Because when you're depressed, you don't think like that. And most of the people that try and help us to not be depressed, our partner, tends to say, it's not that big of a deal. Just get out of bed and, just start doing your thing again. Or why are you acting like this? Or quit thinking so much. And that stuff just pushes us further into that depression. So when it comes to the one thing a day, it is the most effective thing that works for me and that I've ever really seen work. And what that is basically, if your partner's not getting out of bed in the morning and doing anything, basically just put it on them that in the morning you're going to get up and you're going to get coffee, and then after that you can go back to bed and stay in bed for the rest of the day. Doesn't matter. But what they did is they got out of bed and they did one thing, which is one more thing than that they were doing before, the day before. And then what happens is you do that for the next few days, and then eventually what happens is naturally they just sort of stay up a little later. And if they're not, then that's okay too. What you do is then you implement one new thing, right? Where it's like, okay, in the afternoon now, we're going to go for a walk. And then what happens is just systematically, and what we do is every day you try one new thing. And what happens is whatever they were doing in their routine throughout the day, normally, you just start implementing one of those things every day. And by the end of 2 weeks or 3 weeks, what happens is they are now fully back to where they were. And it's not like they just were doing nothing and then all of a sudden they're back to what they were doing before. It's a slow implementation, but it's also really fast if you're a depressed person, because depressed people can stay depressed for months upon months. So what you do is when you do the implementing one thing at a time, their mind you're kind of tricking, they're kind of tricking themselves too, where it's like before they know it, they start to get momentum. And it's kind of said when it comes to momentum that momentum happens not at the beginning, but after you've pushed for a while. You know, you push the ball. There's no momentum going when the ball is sitting there in front of you at the beginning. What you do is you push it a little bit, and that's your one thing a day, is you pushing that ball a little bit, and then the ball starts rolling, and then by 3, 4, 5 days in, now all of a sudden the ball is rolling and they have momentum, and then it's a lot easier to implement these new things every single day. So yeah, if your partner's depressed, I completely suggest doing the implementing one new thing a day, and make it really easy shit at the beginning, like super easy stuff. Get up in the morning and have coffee and then go back to bed. Or at night, come out and have dinner with the family, and then you can do whatever you want. And make sure that it's not really forced, except for kind of put some pressure on that one thing. You know, outside of that one thing, do not put pressure on them at all for anything else. And then the next day you can add one new thing, and then they'll start to add their own new things, and then all of a sudden they'll just kind of be out of it. So that's kind of my suggestion on that subject.